I would say, is a public ordination to God. We've been proponents of Sabbath laws. A restoration of the Sabbath is the most concrete and material gift that we can give to our nation.
How do they bring God back to America? Through the blue laws. Saints, good evening. If you are new here, please subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, share with your friends if you do like the video so that they can be blessed as well. Now in our final segment, we're going to talk about what they really mean when they say we're going to bring God back into America. How do they wish to do that? I will show you that they're specifically talking about the enforcing of the Sunday law. The blue laws, the laws that tell people to rest on the Sabbath, Sunday Sabbath, the papal Sabbath. That is how they actually bring God back into America. Everyone should go to church of their choosing on the Sunday to worship. That is how they're trying to bring about God back into America. But you know what? That is trying to enforce the first commandment. That which God have never required. That which is supposed to be done by the sword of the Spirit, not by the sword of the state. Who to worship, how to worship, and when to worship. Let's take a listen.
The first, I would say, is a public ordination to God. This is actually something which is within the American tradition. We have it on our money. We have it on buildings. The public ordination to God is something that has suffered badly in recent decades, but it is easily restored. And I would say it is enacted and continues to be on the books in many different states in the way of blue laws, of Sabbath laws. If you've been following our disputes, we've been proponents of Sabbath laws. A restoration of the Sabbath is the most concrete and material gift that we can give to our nation.
What is the best gift that we could give to our nation so that we bring back God to our country? Implementing of the blue laws, which were actually in the previously written down in different states. Do you see that, friends? How do they bring God back to America? Through the blue laws, through the implementation of the blue laws. That is how we dedicate our nation back to America. That's what they're saying. That's what the conservatives in America are saying. But when we talk about blue laws, Sunday laws, they talk about something called the common good. Listen to it. Take a listen.
Secondly, a restoration of a realist view of the common good. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. And then to discuss very briefly the problem with foul liturgies and foul altars that are defiling our country.
What is he talking about here? Common good, the common good. What is common good? Common good is actually part of the blue law as well. And they try to push the blue law, Sunday laws, as part of common good, stating that it is for the good of the people that we rest on Sunday. Now, when we do not understand those things as Adventists, we confuse ourselves, and there, as I said, one of our own, Ben Carson, unknowingly now is promoting the common good. I do not know if he understands where common good actually comes from. It is a Catholic doctrine, which we're going to look at, but let's see Ben Carson talking about the common good.
And you think about the early days in our country when you had communities, sometimes of 50 or 100 families. They came from different areas of the world. In many cases, they could barely talk to each other because they spoke different languages. But they understood a concept called the common good. That's language that you see in much of the writings of our founders. The common good, what's good for all of us, not what's good for the Polish section or the German section.
Sounds good, right? Sounds good when you think about it. But you know what? Common good is actually the Catholic version of communism. What is communism, by the way? Let's look at communism. It's a political and economic system that seeks to create a casteless society in which a majority which the majority means of production, such as mines and factories, are owned and controlled by who? By the public, the state. And then the state equally distributes it to the people, and they believe in something called the utopian society. There is the ideal society. Look at what utopian society actually it's defined as. A utopian society is an ideal society that does not exist in reality. You know what? Communism have talked about a utopian society for so long, but history has proven that it has never come up with a utopian society. It's only in imagination. It's only in the imagination. It doesn't exist. It does not exist in reality, it says. Utopian societies are often categorized by benevolent governance that ensures the safety and general welfare of its citizens. Give absolute power to the state, it corrupts them absolutely. It makes people slave again. That has always been the case. You know what? Common good is the Catholic version of utopian society, of communism. Commonwealth, sharing things in common. But you know what? Once that is actually what happened in the Dark Ages. In the Dark Ages, once they had religious power, they enforced religion upon the masses. They went into the Dark Ages, plunged into the Dark Ages, and history has shown us that there were only two classes of people: the rich and the poor. There was never the middle class. Middle class only came about when the Protestant Reformation came about. That is history. History can prove that and show that. But what am I trying to stress here? The common good is also tied with Sunday observance. Let me show you that from the screen. Compendium of the Social Doctrines of the Church, that is Catholic Church, chapter 6, point 286 says, public authority have the duty to ensure that for reasons of economic productivity, citizens are not denied time for rest and divine worship. Employers have an analogous obligation regarding their employees. Christians, in respect of religious freedom and of the common good, see that? The common good of all, should seek to have Sundays and all church holidays recognized as legal holidays. What is it saying here? According to the Catholic common good understanding, for the common good, the government or the state have the authority to enforce all legal religious holidays as legal, and one of them is Sunday observance. Sunday observance. So guess what? In this document as well, in chapter 18, written by someone called Jonathan Berry, they're going to implement Sunday as a day of rest as well. And you know who will enforce that? That's under the section Department of Labor and Related Agency. Department of Labor and Related Agency. Under chapter 18, they're going to enforce the Sunday law. And you know what? What Ellen White said about unions? The unions are going to bring about the time of trouble such as never was. And this is where under the section of Department of Labor, unions are going to enforce that. Friends, look on the screen. Last the events, page 117, paragraph 2. The trade unions will be one of the agencies that will bring upon the earth a time of trouble that has not been since the world began. What will happen? Because of these unions and confederacy, it will soon be very difficult for our institution to carry on their works in the cities. Friends, is document 2020, project 2025 pushing forward for the image of the beast and the mark of the beast? I think so. It is the document that suggests the implementation of LULOS, National Sunday Law, for all to keep. Look on the screen. This is actually the document. Congress will enforce communal rest by amending a Fair Labor Standard Act, FLASH, or FLASH, to regard that workers are paid their time a half for hours worked on the Sabbath. That day would refer to what? To Sunday. Default to Sunday. The day is Sunday. Friends, they are supporting Sunday rest. They're supporting Sunday rest. This is Jonathan Berry. This is Jonathan Berry talking about the blue laws.
One of the interesting proposals that you've laid out in Project 2025 handbook from Heritage is stuff around the Sabbath. What are some of the ideas that you have there?
It sounds controversial.
That's Jonathan Berry, the one who wrote that
It's
document.
specifically the idea of encouraging Sabbath rest through discouraging commerce on the Sabbath.
Discouraging commerce on the Sabbath. Which Sabbath? Sunday Sabbath. Now, look at the screen. They might not specifically enforce that, but it is on the pipeline. Sunday law is in the pipeline, friends. Look at this.
The proposal that's in our book is amending the basic federal overtime law, Fair Labor Standards Act, to require that overtime be paid for all work done on the Sabbath. I don't think Congress has the authority to mandate like a national closing on the Sabbath. That was always a state decision to do that. But let me add, it was always a state decision to do that.
They did it.
and yeah, I'm not saying this practice was uniform, homogenous, whatever, but very, very widely spread, and only recently in the last few decades have most states moved away from this.
Only recently have most states moved away from those. What law is it referring to? The blue laws, and he's saying he's saying that the Congress cannot make such a law. This guy, Jonathan Berry, is oblivious to the fact that, in 1888, Senator Blair of New Hampshire actually wanted to bring this bill to the Congress so that it could be implemented as a national law. Now, we know that it was in different states in the United States as blue laws. Sunday laws were implemented as blue laws, and Christians, many Adventists were persecuted, put into prisons as well at that time, but it was revoked. It was revoked from Congress when one of our very own, A.T. Jones, went and talked about that in Congress, that we do not support mingling of churchcraft and statecraft, and Adventists actually won the case. There was no enforcement of the Sunday law nationally. If it was implemented, you know what? The Sunday law would have came in 1888, but it was never the case. But look what is happening. They are trying to bring that again into the Congress and discuss it. This is Senator Allen. Listen to what she said.
Use knives, or you can use whatever. It's the soul that is corrupt. And how we get back to a moral rebirth in this country, I don't know, since we are slowly eroding religion at every opportunity that we have. Probably we should be debating a bill requiring every American to attend a church of their choice on Sunday to see if we can get back.
To see if we could get back to morality. I do not know what's the problem here, but she actually said we should let every American choose the church of their own choosing to go and worship on the Sabbath, so that we can see if we could get back to morality, because there is a corroding of religious principle, of morality in our nation. Now, what Sabbath are they referring to? Again, it's the Sunday. It's the Sunday Sabbath. Now, they came a discussion where they talk about Adventists and other denominations that worship on other days apart from the Sunday. This is what they said.
Russ, this is for you. In a pluralistic society, in the example then, in terms of reinstating laws, at times then, you're not just talking about dealing with secularism, you're then isolating other religious groups. So in a pluralist society, if you reinstate blue laws, then you would have to outlaw sports teams on Saturday in order to accommodate Jews for the Sabbath, or Muslims, Seventh-day Adventists. So how do you kind of thread that needle?
We're not obligated to satisfy every group under the sun. You have to make these judgments.
We're not obligated to satisfy every religious group under the sun. We choose Sunday. We choose Sunday as the Sabbath, and that we will stick with that. They're creating an exemption for the Adventists. But you think they're going to stick with that for a long time? I do not think so. is going to come sooner or later with force upon the masses. If they think that that is the way that they bring God back to the society, I believe force is soon to come. Force is going to come about very soon. Look at this. Look at what people are saying.
The only way to start the return to moral order in this country is by force. It's the only way. It's the only way. It has to be by force, at least for a time. We have to regulate morality by force, at least for a time. It's literally the only solution.
At least for a time.
And people have to start to realize that it is the faith in God, Christian understanding of morality. It has to be the foundation. And this is not going to be done by choice. It's just not at first. It's not going to be done by choice at first.
Wow. That is a lot to say. Only for a time, really. You have to change the constitution to actually do that. And just say that you do it only for a time is breaking the constitution for a time. You know what you're doing? Trump will be doing, if he actually do that, he will be setting a precedent which the next government could do that. Do you understand that? The American Constitution, the Constitution of the United States, was God-given. God actually inspired the founders. But now they're trying to mingle church and state together again. You know what? They have to force people or change the constitution. They have to break the constitution or change the constitution to suit their narrative. Do you see that? Whose laws are they trying to implement? I'm talking about the Sunday law. There was the Catholic institution. Sunday observance is actually a Catholic institution. And what do they say in regards to Sunday? Sunday is part of the common good. For common good, state should enforce church observance like Sunday observance. And guess what they also say about common good? Let's be honest, Catholic teaching does not always forbid the death penalty. Look at the point, the third point. The death penalty can sometimes support the common good. St. Thomas Aquinas makes this point. Therefore, if a man be dangerous and infectious to the community on account of some sin, it is praiseworthy and advantageous that he be killed in order to safeguard the common good. Friends, this was written in 2017. This is not taken from the Dark Ages. They still believe in death penalty for the common good. And what is common good according to them? One of the things that contained in the common good is Sunday observance. Sunday observance. And you know what? Finally, it will be forced upon the masses. And force is what they're going to come up. Resolve to. Finally. Force is what they're going to resort to in the final stage. Signs of the Time, May 6, 1897, paragraph 16 says, trial and persecution will come to all who, in obedience to the word of God, refuse to worship this false Sabbath. Force is the last resort of every false religion. Friends, when they say that there is no biblical sustenance for this false Sabbath, when they cannot implement it through the sword of the Spirit cannot convict the hearts of the people, because that's what the Spirit does. The Spirit convicts based upon the Bible, and Bible enforces, encourages, convicts people to worship on the Sabbath day. And when Sunday is not enforced through the sword of the Spirit, the state, false Protestantism, will grab all of the sword of the state and persecute the people using the sword of the state. That is when we're going to be seeing persecution and bloodshed again. Friends, we're seeing the image of the beast being set up, and next, probation is going to be closing very soon. Why? Because it is going to be the great test by which our destiny is going to be decided. Manuscript Release, page 15, paragraph, Manuscript Release, volume 15, page 15, paragraph 1. I was shown clearly that the image of the beast will be set up before the close of probation. Image of the beast is being set up. How we react to the image of the beast is where we will be positioning ourselves on God's side or the devil's side. Do not be mistaken, friends. People are starting to choose sides. Friends, if you are blessed by it and want to see the whole video, click here. If you want to see another video similar to that, click here. And do not forget to subscribe and click the notification bell to stay updated. God bless you all.